Coming home. Cowl. A voice. 6. Appreciating Dowd. Never overlook the Son of God. Now that we are beginning to understand the role Dowd plays in communicating Yah's message and fulfilling his father's promises, let's consider one of his most uplifting psalms. The 103rd Mizmor opens revealing that it was written either for Dowd, to Dowd, concerning Dowd, or on the wisdom of approaching God's beloved son. Coming home to Yahuwah necessitates coming to appreciate and accept the essential role Dowd has played in the salvation of his people. He is the central figure in God's story, the exemplar of Yisrael and of the covenant. He not only fulfilled the Moedim, but the benefits of the Mikra are also more readily grasped when viewed in conjunction with his life and lyrics and especially Dowd's father and son relationship with Yahuwah. Dowd is Yahuwah's most cherished and capable Mashiach, Melech, Ben, Bekaur, Zeroah, Yasha, Raa, Tzemach, Sion, Jibor, Gabriel, Chasid, Gial, and Nabi. As such, and consistent with the 89th Mizmor, it's wholly appropriate for God to devote psalms to him. Theirs is the most important and beneficial relationship the world has ever known. Dowd is the antidote for Judaism, which denies what he has accomplished to save Jews from themselves. He is proof that the rabbis are wrong in claiming that only they can interpret the Torah. The Messiah and Son of God is also the antidote for Christianity, which purports that the Torah cannot save, while transferring everything said and accomplished by Dowd to their mythical misnomer, Jesus. Yah's songwriter is even the cure for the supposed enlightened ways of multicultural socialist secular humanism, political correctness, wokeism, and progressivism in that his rationale trumps all of their illusions. As such, the surest path to learning the truth and approaching God on his terms is through Dowd's life and lyrics, words like these. This is concerning Dowd, La Dowd, to the beloved, of David, and approaching Dowd. My soul, Nipesh Eni, my consciousness, the essential and living aspect of my persona which can be observant and responsive, and which conveys my personality, character, attributes, and experiences, you have chosen to appreciate and acclaim, Barak, your desire is to commend and adore, being thankful for the goodness of, seeking and sharing the blessings and benefits of, while she extols and uplifts. Peel imperative second person feminine singular, the Nipesh has chosen to engage Yahuwah. Such that her blessings are reciprocated by, the association with, Yahowah, Yahowah, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his higher existence and our shalom, restoration, along with all that is within me, Wakol Karab Eni, every part of me, through and accompanied by, with and according to, his set apart, Kodesh Hu, name, Shem. Mizmor / lyrics to be sung / Psalm 103 verse 1. Dowd is known for being a determined fighter and passionate lover. He unified and enriched Yisrael and was her greatest king. He was intellectual and emotional. He could wield words and a sword with equal aplomb. He was typically courageous, but he could be cowardly, too. He was right about God but often wrong about men. This spectrum is of the man seen through the words which shape his initial life among his people. But that is not how God sees him or interacts with him. For Yahuwah and, indeed, for Dowd, himself, it is his Nipesh soul which matters. Our soul represents the essence of who we are. It is the operating system of our life. Moreover, it is the only part of us that can transcend our mortal existence. And since our Nipesh, like Yahuwah's Ruach, is feminine, this declaration, speaking for her, and the next were scribed in the second person feminine singular. By doing so, Dowd is emphasizing the importance of his Nipesh. The Nipesh consciousness provides each of us the opportunity to be observant and responsive, and can do so in conjunction with man or God. And while this was as true for Dowd as it is for us, there is a monumental distinction. And that is because Yahuwah was able to use Dowd's Nipesh soul as a living probe for him to experience and fulfill Pesach, Matzah, and Bikurim. Prior to, during, and most assuredly after the Chag Matzah sacrifice in 33 CE, the body his soul occupied went from nondescript to dispensable and then to non-existent. All that mattered was that Dowd's soul was deployed to serve his people at this time and in this manner. Upon his upcoming arrival in 2033 CE to fulfill Kippurim and Sukkah, Dowd's soul will reside within a spiritual being. That isn't to say that he will not have a physical body, but that his physicality will be at his discretion. He will be able to transform some of his spiritual energy into a diminished material form whenever a body is beneficial. For the better part of 22 years, this was the aspect of the Mikra fulfillment that I missed, although I was on the right track. I knew that the only way that Pesach and Matzah could be fulfilled was by deploying a Nipesh as a probe so that it could be used like an avatar. Unwilling initially to accept the idea that Yahuwah would use Dowd's Nipesh, I assumed that he had deployed his own. But that would have been out of character because Yahuwah always advances his agenda through his chosen people. So, now we know better. The only way that all of the prophetic testimony fits is if the soul serving to fulfill Chag Matzah was Dowd's. His name and titles are not only cited within every such prophecy, but no one else is ever mentioned. Dowd was not only Yahuwah's firstborn, and thus the proper fit for Bikurim, he had ample motivation. He needed the respect that being the Passover lamb engendered as much as his people and his father needed him to serve them in this manner. I was correct up to a point. It was obvious that Chag Matzah was fulfilled by the deployment of a Nipesh soul. And now, we know whose. This association of Dowd's soul and Yahuwah's spirit became the most beneficial and rewarding collaboration in history. And it is not over. Phases 1 and 2 are in the books, foretold, endured, and fulfilled, while his third coming remains a decade away at the time of this writing in 2023. The Messiah has affirmed what we have come to realize, this was his choice and his decision. And as much as this was in Dowd's interest, and in the interest of the covenant family, most of all his soul recognized that he would be doing something wonderful for the God who had done so much for him. Further, nothing Dowd has accomplished or will do would have amounted to a hill of beans if not accomplished in association with Yahuwah. Said another way, while Dowd's name is great among men, God's name is infinitely greater. There are very few things, and perhaps nothing, that Yahowah values more than us knowing and using his name. And nothing aggravates him more than modifying or nullifying his name. My soul, Nepesh Eni, my consciousness, the essential and living aspect of my persona which can be observant and responsive, and which conveys my personality, character, attributes, and experiences, your desire is to commend and adore, being thankful for the benefit of sharing the blessings of Barak, you have chosen to appreciate and acclaim, while she extols and uplifts. Peel imperative second person feminine singular, the Nepesh has chosen to engage Yahowah such that her blessings are reciprocated by the association with Beth, Yahowah, Yahowah, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his higher existence and our shalom, restoration. You will never overlook, ignore, or forget, wa al-shikach, you will never be unmindful of, fail to properly respond to, be remiss in mentioning, nor ever forget, kal imperfect jussive second person feminine singular, any of his accomplishments and resulting benefits, kol gemyolhu, everything he has done and the kindness he has shown. Mizmor/lyrics to be sung/Psalm 103 verse 2. While Dowd led the way, his experience with Yahowah should encourage the rest of us. The more devoted we are to serving him, the more devoted he is to serving us. The more we accomplish, the more we are rewarded. And with God, the benefits infinitely exceed our contribution. His plan offers the greatest return on investment. Dowd contributed more than anyone else and he is being compensated appropriately. I am not suggesting something as utterly inane as the Christian, pick up your cross and follow me, nonsense. There would be no benefit, capacity, motivation, or purpose for any of us to attempt a second fulfillment of Pesach and Matzah. But we can serve to awaken his people such that they appreciate what he has accomplished. Dowd's association with Yahowah is multidimensional. It is intellectual and emotional, engaging and conversational, inspiring and pragmatic, enlightening and enriching. In his first life, he was a brilliant and receptive student studying under the perfect teacher. And everything he learned, he shared, never overlooking or omitting anything with respect to his life with Yah. Therefore, we can benefit from kol gemyolhu, everything he, Yah, has done and the kindness he has shown, all of his accomplishments and resulting benefits, in the same manner enjoyed by Yahowah's most celebrated son. Dowd's commitment to sharing everything he learned from and achieved with God over his lifetimes in the center of Yah's universe makes him uniquely important to God and to us. When we read and respond to his testimony on behalf of Yahowah, we are rewarded. When we share it, we spread the wealth. After letting us know exactly where his Nepesh soul stood in relation to Yahowah, Dowd posed a series of rhetorical questions which were designed to encourage us to come to the same conclusion. Yahowah's collaboration with Dowd's soul brought salvation to God's people. And to be consistent, there was only one way for father and son to achieve this result, which was through the Torah's presentation of the Berith and Mikri Y. This remains true to this day, and that is what makes Dowd's song so inspiring. Who, ha, indicating either that a question is being asked or the answer is being addressed and the source identified who, forgives, removing culpability from consideration, so as to pardon, salak, eliminates guilt, kal participle, all of your errant thinking, wrongdoing, erroneous statements and distorted opinions, lakol a1 ada, everything you have twisted and perverted with your warped thinking, from all of your iniquity and depravity, the totality of your guilt and liability you have incurred, from all of the pain you've inflicted and damage you have done by being misled and misleading others, along with the punishment due. And, Wa, also, from 1 QPs, who promotes restoration, Ha-Rapha, who heals the rift and mends what has been torn, curing and repairing, Kal participle, serving as a literal and genuine verbal adjective, describing the action and the one carrying it out, for everything which incapacitates and sickens you, all of your diseases and disabilities, La Kol Takalum, Ada, for every one of your ailments and impairments, all of your tormenting and grievous plagues, even all the rust and corrosion. Filth and scum on you. Mizmor/lyrics to be sung/Psalm 103 verse 3. If it were not to reinforce the collaboration between Yahowah and Dowd's Nepesh soul in our forgiveness and restoration, why do you suppose it was introduced this way? No matter the extent we credit our father over his son, Rowak and Nepesh work together to achieve this result. And as it should be, the father wants to regale so that we appreciate his son's contribution while the son wants to thank his father for the opportunity and result. While it is true that only Yahowah can prolong our mortality and perfect us, even he cannot do it alone. Yes, he can wipe the slate slathered with our musings and mumblings clean, but only after we stop blabbering Babel and then accept his antidote for the plague of religion. This necessitates capitalizing upon what God achieved by deploying Dowd's soul to serve as the Pesach, Isle and then to carry our errant ways and incapacitating infirmities to Sheol, thereby removing them from us. Regrettably, although it was a long time ago, and I have learned from my mistakes, I was once religious. I was also political, patriotic, and pro-military. As a vocal advocate of each, I was headed to an eternity of incarceration in Sheol. But fortunately, 30 years ago, I learned enough about these things to start questioning my affinity for each and then rejected them. It was only then, some years later on Towrah in 2001, that God introduced himself. He asked me, as he had Moses long ago, although clearly Moses' role was infinitely more vital than what he had in mind for me, to do what is arguably the single worst job this side of hell, expose and condemn Muhammad, Allah, the Quran, Hadith, and Islam. But once this was accomplished to his satisfaction, read God-damn religion if that mission is of interest to you, I became his student and he, my teacher. While that is still the essence of our relationship, somewhere along the way I began to see everything God does as a collaboration. I was also getting to know and learning from Moses, Shamuel, Dowd, and Yashaya. Working together, they equipped me to herald their message. And as a result, there are now a score of covenant family members committed to educating and equipping others. As a result of what father and son accomplished together for the family's benefit, we are pardoned and forgiven, such that there is no longer any consideration of our prior guilt. As errant as our ways may have been in the past, they have no influence on our future. Our relationship with father and son is restored. The contagious and crippling effects of religion and politics are removed, and the rift is mended. Who, ha, indicating either that a question is being asked or the answer is being addressed and the source identified. Who is the kinsman redeemer who delivers your life, the family member paying the price for you to live. Gal che, Yada, is the related individual who facilitates your very existence and ability to remain alive, ransoming your life and buying you back from the unacceptable and defiling situation. Cal participle, serving as a literal and genuine verbal adjective, graphically describing the action as the one carrying it out, from the dungeonous slime pit of corruption, min shakath, out of the putrid prison of decay and decomposition associated with Sheol. Who, ha, indicating either that a question is being asked or the answer is being addressed and the source identified. Who envelopes and crowns you, adder adh, surrounds and honors, encompasses, and covers, peel participle, you, adda, in loyal love, steadfast devotion, and unfailing kindness, chisid, in affection, favor, and all that is good, in addition to compassion and mercy, warakamim, strong feelings and an enduring commitment to abiding adoration along with a reprieve from judgment. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 4. The one and only Gal kinsman redeemer is Dowd. It is a realization his people have either ignored or denied for the past 2,000 years, since the impetus of Judaism. The Gal, by the simple fact that he is kin, part of the same family, is a man, not God. And so, while Yahowah made it possible for Dowd to ransom his people, the Son paid the price to free the covenant family from Sheol by having gone there in our stead. Everyone who enjoys prolonged life in the covenant family is beholden to our Messiah and King for having made the sacrifice to provide it. I understand that, as obvious as father and son have stated that they work together to provide the benefits of the Berith through the Moedim, so many errant claims have been thrown in our faces that it was easy to overlook. But where have the rabbis been all of this time? How is it that a Gawi without religious training was able to affirm what hundreds of thousands of them missed, especially when the answer is HaMashiach and the consequence is salvation? Perhaps the answer is in the question. Or, since this is the only place where this conclusion is presented, perhaps I am at fault for going where the Messiah's words lead and for making too much of what father and son accomplished. What's the big deal, anyway? All they did was redeem us from Sheol and ransom us from religion so that we might be free and live. To the religious, such things are overrated. While it isn't as definitive as having the aforementioned Nepesh of Dowd ransom his people as their kinsman redeemer, aren't kings the ones who determine who is crowned next? And, as a curiosity, who was the king whose name means love? When Pesach and Matzah lead to Bikurim as a result of the Bakar, we are adopted into the covenant family. As a result, we become royalty, replete with crowns. Even beyond the royal trappings, our sovereign surrounds us in his love by enveloping us in his light, encompassing us within his set-apart spirit. This garment of light is what makes us perfect in God's eyes, because where there is light, there is no darkness. As light, the Spirit doesn't cover over our flaws and failings but, instead, eliminates them. It is but a shadow among the brilliance being conveyed, but this is prophetic because Dowd's soul was actually placed in a lightless dungeon during unyeasted bread to free us from Sheol. He did so by carrying and then depositing our guilt within this black hole, never to be seen again. As a result of reading about and accepting what they accomplished during Chag Matzah, I find my relationship with father and son, Saba, abundantly satisfying. I appreciate all they have done for all of us. Who, ha, indicating either that a question is being asked or the answer is being addressed and the source identified. Who abundantly satisfies, Saba, provides overwhelming contentment and satisfaction, fulfilling the vow to enrich and empower, hyphal participle, with that which is beneficial and good, highly desirable for you, beautifully adorning you, ba hataub, audi adh, with ornamentation which removes unsightliness so that you are pleasing and acceptable. She, on her own initiative, restores and renews, Chadash, she, on her own recognizance, making an independent decision, rehabilitates and reconciles such that the relationship is affirmed and re-established, Hitpeel in perfect third-person feminine singular, becoming similar to, Ka, like, the soaring eagle, Ha-Nesher, of your youth, Nayurim, as you become children who are forever young, celebrating your early life and childhood. Mizmor/lyrics to be sung/Psalm 103 verse 5. We are afforded an interesting choice regarding the identity of the feminine restoring influence, but not regarding the object of her restoration. Even if unnoticed by almost everyone, ADHU throughout this Mizmor is feminine, addressing our souls and on occasion perhaps Dowd's own. However, this time, redemption is not from slavery nor is healing from a disease which affects the body. It is our souls which are being ransomed and restored. But by whom? The subject of Dowd's initial statements had been his soul while ours served as the object. Since our Nepesh remains the entity satisfied by being beautifully adorned and restored such that we are like young children with wings, the subject making this happen continues to be Dowd's soul. And for her to splendidly adorn our souls, making us highly desirable, while causing us to be reborn spiritually as young children with wings, Dowd's Nepesh is getting a significant assist from Yahowah's Ruach spirit. This understood, there is no getting around that Yahowah inspired Dowd to write that his Nepesh is to be credited with providing benefits I had heretofore ascribed to the Ruach Kodesh set-apart spirit. And therefore, this is an exceedingly forthright affirmation that our conclusions regarding the role Dowd's soul played in our salvation are correct, indeed, unassailable. Our Heavenly Father, spiritual mother, and their Bakar are committed to providing the children of the covenant with everything we could ever want. This begins with restoring and renewing our souls, enriching and empowering us after perfecting and adopting us so that we, as God's children, can soar as if we had the wings of eagles. One of the many things we have come to know and love about Yah is his propensity to be fair, to consistently do what is right so that we can always trust him. The standard by which Dowd was deemed right applies to all of us, including God, himself. YAHOWAH, YAHOWAH, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his higher existence and our shalom, restoration, does what is right, engaging honestly and fairly, asset tzedakah, acts appropriately, honorably, and correctly, working justly, productively, and beneficially so as to vindicate, cal participle masculine singular, showing good judgment in executing justice, wa mishpat, appropriately resolving disputes while making informed and rational decisions, on behalf of, law, to approach, all who are unjustly exploited, defrauded, and deceived, kol bashak, everyone egregiously mistreated, treacherously extorted, cheated, disadvantaged, ill-treated, wronged, and oppressed. Mizmor/lyrics to be sung/Psalm 103 verse 6. This is to say that Yahowah engaged to support his son's fulfillment of Chag Matzah in a manner which was predictable because he is trustworthy and dependable. This means that the Moedim, as fulfilled by Dowd's Nepesh and supported by Yahowah's Ruach are just, fairly, and appropriately resolving our guilt. And while this is good news for those who had previously been deceived and defrauded, indeed exploited under the oppressive and controlling influence of religion, the perpetrators who have made merchandise of men will be held accountable. The Messiah's return will be a bad day for rabbis. Yahowah did not, however, say that he was going to save everyone who has been defrauded, exploited, or oppressed, only that he would show good judgment in executing justice and be fair. This means that he will hold those who mistreated and extorted the politically subjugated, the religiously misled, militarily oppressed, or economically enslaved, responsible. He isn't going to let the perpetrators go unpunished. Said another way, while the souls of those victimized simply fade away, the perpetrators will be sent away, enduring an eternity in Sheol. By exacting retribution upon those who have harmed his people, Yahowah is being just and fair, even correct and compassionate, providing a sense of closure and comfort for those whose souls will fade away. They deserve justice, knowing that those who misled and misused them will be punished for these crimes. We know this, as did Dowd, because we are Torah observant. It is the place through which we must all walk if our ambition is to know God. Dowd, as one Ra'ah, Nabi, and Zeroah to another, said. He made known, Yada, he revealed and acknowledged and made us aware such that we could become familiar with, disclosing to encourage understanding, Hyphal and perfect, his ways, Dereku, to Mos, Lamos He, to the one who draws out, through his interactions, Alalahu, his actions and deeds, his practices and achievements, his effectiveness and engagements, his works, with the children of Yisrael, La Beni Yisrael. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 7. Mos, whose character was exemplary and intellect sublime, is the most perfect man who ever lived. He was a joy for Yahowah to work with when liberating his people from human religious and political oppression. However, this states that Yahowah's interactions were with the children of Yisrael. That is important, because they were the opposite. And this means that God would rather achieve his purpose with dunderheads than work alone. As such, there is a job for everyone. How do you think I got this one? Without what Yahowah achieved and communicated through Mos, Dowd's lyrics, lives, and sacrifices are meaningless. And without Dowd's sacrifices, the Torah is filled with empty promises. Together, they are synergistic. When Dowd's Nepesh is seen enabling the Berith by fulfilling the Micro-EY as portrayed by Mos, nothing is more important or beneficial. The standard by which Dowd was tzaddik considered right and vindicated and the path which he followed are both found in the Torah of Mos. And that is to say, God's directions are not found in either the Talmud or the New Testament. If you are looking for God's way, throw away the religious books and read what Yahowah inspired Mos to teach the children of Yisrael. Dowd understood this interconnection because he was Torah observant. His 119th Mizmor psalm reveals how and why we should do as he had done, making it, second only to the Torah of Mos, the most important document ever written. If you'd like to read what its author had to say, you'll find it in an introduction to God. There, one of the many things that you'll discover is what the king of Yisrael has just revealed. Yahowah engages and interacts with Yisrael. They, as the chosen people, are the descendants of Yaakov and natural heirs to the covenant. They were liberated by Yahowah and given the promised land, and they will be reconciled with him again upon his return on Yom Kippurim. God's focus has been and will continue to be on his people, Yisrael. That is never going to change. It is through the Torah and on behalf of his people, that YAHOWAH, YAHOWAH, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation, is compassionate, Racham, has strong feelings and an enduring commitment to abiding adoration for those he's offering a reprieve from judgment, and merciful, Wachanon, is inclined to bestow favorable treatment and provide unearned benefits along with generous blessings, being gracious, long-suffering and loyal. Slow to anger, Erek Af, able to endure that which is resentful and displeasing in the relationship for a long time, and abounding in love, overwhelmingly kind, and steadfastly loyal, Warab Chesed, and abundantly generous, offering tremendous assistance and rewards to those in a relationship with him. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 8. This is the God we know. And to be honest, he'd have to be this way to put up with the children of Yisrael. For most of the past 4,000 years they have been in an extended time out for bad behavior. And they are no better today. Yahowah wants to love them if only they would get out of their own way and allow it. And that is why this statement, including Racham, Chanon, and Chesed, along with the unique modification of Af, is so profoundly important. Yahowah is magnanimous. No matter how fast and furiously we strive to contribute, he always gives us far more than we can provide. It is his nature to celebrate what we do together such that he moves heaven and earth for those he loves and who love him in return. For an endearing and enduring relationship to work, we must come to a place where we enjoy our partner's positive attributes while overlooking, or at least de-emphasizing, their less than desirable proclivities. That is exactly what Yahowah does for those in the covenant relationship. We know from how Yahowah interacted with Dowd that he could be a handful at times. And yet, he contributed mightily, ultimately saving his people from themselves. And in this way, in the imperfections of his life and the perfection of Moses' inspired testimony, he became the living embodiment of Mizmor 103. The purpose of the Torah is to introduce us to the Berith and then explain how we can become part of it by attending the YYV. Those who follow this path will find Yahowah to be exactly as Dowd has just described him, compassionate and merciful, long-suffering and loyal, overwhelmingly kind to those he favors with his love. Those who see him differently, don't know him. In this regard, time is of the essence. Even the best of us can try God's patience. And there is very little time left for corrections. Knowing that he had lost his people's respect for having made a series of poor decisions, Dowd sought to redeem his reputation by serving to fulfill Chag Matzah. As an example, sending Uriah, a covenant member, to his death in battle so that he could take his wife, Bathsheba, was too much for Yah to bear, so father and his beloved son experienced a timeout, a period when Yah stopped speaking directly to the man through whom he had inspired this Mizmor. And that's the life experience of the very best among us. For lesser men and women, the clock is ticking even faster. He will not continually quarrel with someone, lo lanetza ryb, he will not subject his preeminence to unending arguments, always contending in hostile opposition, continuing to endure the taunts and insults, kal imperfect, nor will he eternally, wala alam, serve as a frustrated caretaker, nader, tend to those who displease him, maintaining the status quo as a disappointed and irritated observer, bearing resentment, kal imperfect. Mizmor/lyrics to be sung/Psalm 103 verse 9. Even though it will get far worse before it gets much better, the time of quarreling is nearly over. Yahowah has no interest in, nor motivation to, subject his preeminence to an unending stream of contentious arguments nor subject his magnificent character to insults. Depending on whether or not you wish to be removed from or endure the time of Jacob's troubles, you have until Shabat in 2026 at the latest to make the harvest or hope that by Towrah in 2033 you will be able to resolve your conflicts with God. When Yahowah returns with Dowd, neither will serve as, nader, frustrated caretakers over irritants clinging to the status quo. Eternity is a celebration of family without foes. Earlier, the rhetorical questions Dowd posed were presented in the second-person feminine, but now he has returned to first-person plural and is making statements which would include all covenant members. It's not according to, lo, ka, not based upon nor consistent with, the ways we are misled and misleading, incurring guilt, chada anaknu, our antagonistic actions, that he acts and engages with us, asa la anaknu, that he made us or worked something out with us, kal perfect, nor according to our errant thinking, erroneous statements, or invalid opinions, lo, ka, a1 anaknu, nor our twisting the truth with our inaccurate beliefs, nor based upon our perversions, that he deals with us, Gamal, al, anaknu, that he rears us or repays us, kal perfect. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 10. It is the nature of religion to define how their God supposedly interacts with men and women. But the God who created them begs to differ. Yahowah's response will be incongruous with religious edicts. If you want to know how God is going to engage when he returns, read the Torah and Nabi. What you'll find is that very few will meet the criteria he has established, and none among them will be overtly religious or political. Beyond this, there is something marvelous being suggested here. God is going to deal with us, not based upon what we have said or done but, instead, predicated upon what he has said and what his son has done. To capitalize, accept the conditions of the Berith and attend the YYV. Dowd's next 3 sentences tell the story of God's love for his children and what father and son have done and will do to keep us together. They speak of love beyond our comprehension, and mercy so far reaching our rebellious nature becomes as distant as light is from darkness, as 7 dimensions are from 3, and as different as the sun is from the black hole of Sheol. Indeed, for, ky, just as, ka, similar to, comparatively, the heavens and spiritual realm are elevated in scale and dimensions beyond our comprehension, Gaba Shemaim, the universe is bigger than we can envision, towering, above and beyond the material realm, al-ha-eretz, over the earth, so too is his steadfast and enduring love, his unfailing generosity, and mercy, chisidhu, his magnanimous nature, unmitigated affection, and overwhelming desire to favor with benefits, toward those who respect and revere him, al-yar-hu, for those who appreciate his astonishing character and awesome nature. Mizmor/Psalm 103 verse 11. As far as, Ka Rachak, as distant and removed as, the sunrise in the east where its increasing light is from, Mizrak Min, the direction of the rising sun, the setting sun in the west where darkness follows, Ma'arab, the sunset with increasing darkness, so far removed from us, Rachak Min, Anaknu, equally distant from us, are our revolting and rebellious behaviors, Eth Pesha, Anaknu, is that part of us which has been contrary to the way and in defiance of the standard. Mizmor/Psalm 103 verse 12. As a father, Ka'ab, consistent with the way a parent, especially a dad, shows tender affection and genuine love, Rakam, is kind and generous, favoring and having compassion, Peel infinitive, for children, Al-Banim, Yahowah, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his higher existence, genuinely loves and overtly favors, Rakam, is compassionate and merciful, generous and forgiving toward, Peel perfect, those who respect him, Al-Yar, who, those who revere him. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 13. Here and elsewhere Dowd insinuates that he was cognizant that there were dimensions beyond his frame of reference and that the spiritual realm was 4 dimensions beyond the 3 he had experienced. This perspective on light and dimensionality goes a long way to explain who we are in relationship to God and what he's going to do to mitigate our differences. Dowd also understood that light is the best way to resolve the darkness in our lives, because in its presence, mankind's unenlightened machinations cease to exist, and we not only appear perfect, but are perfect. While Dowd's mashal are presented as parental advice, throughout the Mizmor, Yahowah is typically referenced by name or referred to simply as Elohim, God. But here, he is presented as our Father because it best describes the kind of love Yahowah is offering those who come to him through the words and deeds of his beloved. One of the many reasons Yahowah is so proud of Dowd, indeed enamored with him, is because he was one of us, a mere mortal, who figured it all out. If he could, we can, especially since father and son shared how this was possible, enabling us to follow in his footsteps. I'm often told by those who are too preoccupied or lazy to search for Yahowah through his words that they would have responded even more positively had God done for them what he did for Noach or Abraham, for Moses and the children of Yisrael, even for Dowd felling the giant with a single stone. My reply is always the same: we have been offered far more than any of them. We have access to the entirety of the Torah, Nabi, YAHOWAH Mizmor along with the tools to translate and study Yah's testimony. We have the advantage of seeing the entire spectrum of history, from creation to the birth pangs preceding the time of Jacob's troubles, and can, therefore, compare what Yah said to what has occurred and thereby prove his existence and validate his inspiration. It is for certain, without question, he is cognizant of, Yada, he is aware of and knows, he acknowledges and understands, perfect, our inclinations and frame of reference, even the purpose for which we were created, Yetzer, Benaknu, our dimensional limitations and attributes, especially our ability to think and reason, our motivations and desires, our wants and needs, and of what and why we were formed, remembering that we are indeed, Zakar, recalling and keeping in mind that. Quite literally comprised of naturally occurring earth and matter, afar, of small, fine, insignificant particles, like the powdery dust of the earth. Mizmor/lyrics to be sung/Psalm 103 verse 14. God is energy and we are matter. Since the latter came from the former, we should not be surprised that they are actually the same thing, with our relative capacity being all that separates us. This is vividly explained by Albert Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared, in which matter must be multiplied by the square of the speed of light 2.99 by 108 meters/second, thereby differentiating our capabilities by a factor of 89,874,044,000,000,000 to 1. This extreme equivalence lies at the core of what God has promised to do: enrich, empower, and enlighten us. Aware of this difference, Yahowah has calibrated our interactions such that he values what we get right much more than he gets frustrated by what we get wrong. I suspect that this is what Dowd was suggesting when he wrote that God was slow to anger, and especially long-suffering with regard to his children. With these insights shared for our enrichment, we are now confronted with something quite remarkable. Just as Dowd quoted his 22nd Mizmor to explain why the Spirit had abandoned him as he was fulfilling Passover as the sacrificial lamb, we are now coming to the realization that Yahowah drew inspiration from Dowd when he answered Yahshayah's question in the midst of his prophetic portrayal, encouraging us to get ready for his return. Specifically, Yahowah paraphrased Psalm 103 verses 15 to 16 in the midst of what is now Yashayah 40, when providing a comparison between the fleeting nature of man's accomplishments and the enduring character of his word. While we do not know if Yashayah quoted from Dowd's Mizmor in recognition that Yahowah had inspired them both, or if the repetition found in Yashayah 40 is the result of Yahowah inspiring his prophet to reaffirm the lyrics his beloved son had written 300 years earlier, Yahowah clearly quoted Dowd. And if the lyrics of Dowd's songs are good enough for God, they are more than sufficient for us. Mortal man's, inaush, human beings, days, yamim who, duration and time, are like, can be compared to, an abode of dried grass, chaser, dwelling like brown hay, needing water to live and grow. Like, similar to, the flowery nature of an engraved plaque on a shining memorial, tsyts, an ornamental trophy which blossoms with a beautifully written inscription or dedication memorializing some achievement, in the open and broad way, hasada, of the way which is spread out far and wide, it, therefore, reflects the light and the scene around it, ken yatzitz. It can give the impression of being brilliant and even flourish for a while, blossoming so as to appear awesome and grand. Glistening like the reflection in a mirror. Mizmor/Psalm 103 verse 15. Yet truthfully, when, indeed, surely as, the spirit, ruach, the feminine and maternal aspect of Yahowah's nature, passes over it, who extends herself from the source toward it, then it is no more, who, it is gone such that it no longer exists, and its place, who, its location and locale, its homes and offices, its orientations and habitats, is no longer recognizable nor remembered, naker who, out, are not considered or acknowledged because they were mistaken and thus worthless, as these pretenders are forever without merit or value, hyphal imperfect energic none. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 16. Yahowah gave us our mortal lives, free will, a conscience, and the opportunity to know him. While marvelous, our lives are fleeting, especially when focused on personal achievements and when they do nothing more than reflect the world around us. This depiction is of man's most cherished memorials, the flowery engraved plaques placed upon the graves of the dearly departed and upon trophies commemorating seminal achievements. To be gone is to be forgotten. And that is the way it must be for those who move on to live happily ever after. To be anguished over the loss of loved ones, or too tormented by mankind's hellacious abusive conduct, would take the joy out of living. We will, therefore, remember the beautiful and forget the unpleasant. There will, however, be some constants as we turn the page from mortal to immortal. Yah's enduring love, our continuing respect, his commitment to doing what is right, and our devotion to the covenant family, are among them. Closely examining and carefully considering the directions Yahowah has provided regarding the terms and conditions of his covenant, and responding appropriately, will be something we will all share. But, Wah, the steadfast and enduring love, the unfailing generosity and mercy, Chesed, the magnanimous nature, unmitigated affection, and overwhelming desire to favor, lavishing with benefits, of Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions, is forever and ever, enduring eternally and without end, min, aulam, ad aulam, is everlasting and perpetual, for those who respect and revere him, al-Yar, who, enabling those who appreciate his awesomeness to draw near, with his vindication and righteousness, Tzedakah who, his commitment to doing what is correct and acquitting, honest and fair, beneficial and prosperous, both just and right, on behalf of his children's children, Laben ben, Mizmor 103:17, for those who observe, Lashamar, approaching those who closely examine and carefully consider, focusing upon and thinking about, his covenant, Berith who, his family-oriented relationship, his household and home, his familial agreement and contract, his binding oath and promise. And who remember, Wala Zakar, who are mindful, to act upon and engage in, La Asahem, carrying out and putting into effect, Kal infinitive construct, his directions and instructions, Pikudim who, his written records and advice, his precepts, procedures, and principles, his values and philosophy, and especially the guidance regarding his terms and conditions. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 18. Since God is unchanging, the nature of our relationship with him pivots upon our willingness to be observant. It is the only way for us to know who Yahowah is, what he is offering, and what he expects in return. The purpose of life and our highest calling is to be part of his covenant family. For this to occur, we must come to realize that Yah's mercy and enduring love is directed toward those who come to know him by name, toward those who respect who he is and what he has said and done, and toward those who seek to be right about him such that they can appreciate and accept the conditions of the covenant. Before we came to appreciate Dowd's role in fulfilling the Moedim as the living embodiment of the covenant, I struggled to understand why Dowd didn't enumerate or explain the purpose of each of the covenant's 5 requirements or elaborate on the benefits, why he didn't reveal the symbolism behind each of the 7 micro-EY or emphatically state their specific purpose, much less discuss how they are all interrelated. But then I realized that this was Moses' role, not Dowd's. Moses wrote about them while Dowd lived them. His every word and deed served to explain them. Dowd's unique role was to model and enable the relationship our Heavenly Father intended. His life and sacrifice speak louder than words. And while Dowd spoke vociferously of his father in the covenant, he never correlated God's timeline with the events he and others had and would fulfill. Since Dowd's inspiration and intelligence are well beyond ours, this disparity in what we have come to share deserves a thoughtful explanation. But what if the answer is that Yahowah didn't want his plan enumerated and summarized? What if he preferred revealing everything we would need to know to figure it all out without handing it to us on a silver platter? If that is the reason Dowd didn't share what I have delineated, then perhaps I have gone too far in making participation in the covenant too easy, such that undesirable individuals might sneak in and spoil eternity, or it could be an issue of timing. Although, considering Yisrael's response thus far, the former does not seem to be a problem. Had it not been for 5 things, I might have withdrawn my enumerating and summarizing assessments explaining the conditions and benefits of the covenant, its interrelationship with the micro-EY, and how these events play out in time. First and foremost, since Yahowah's testimony is irrefutable, my conclusions, based upon a rational analysis of it, are sound. Right is right, and that is all he asks of us. It is what made Dowd, Dowd. Second, having never actually comprised a summary of Yah's plan, nor even considered simplifying his message, and as one so enamored with Yah's word that I am considered more verbose than trite, I don't think that I've made it too easy. Third, most of the many thousands of insights we have derived from Yah's word are unique in the sense that rather than building off of what other men have discerned, we have been inspired by the one who inspired the prophets. And all of these profoundly important revelations, from the first to the last, are consistent with Yah's nature and resonate within those of us who know him. Fourth, we are the first since Dowd to assess and explain the importance of the role Yahowah as Dowd ben beloved son, Bakar firstborn, HaMashiach the anointed Messiah, Mizmor Nabi lyricist and prophet, Melech king and counselor, Tzemach branch, Areah shepherd, Zeroah sacrificial lamb, and Kof hand plays in fulfilling the Moedim to provide the benefits of the Berith. We are also the first to apprehend that it is Dowd who is calling Yisrael and Yehudah back home. Fifth, the affirmation that we are where we ought to be, doing what we should be doing, was provided with the prophetic pronouncements regarding the Chodar succor and Ness banner which is being lifted up. And now, we have the even more emphatic confirmation with the Nakri observant and discerning foreigner. Therefore, it is more likely a matter of different roles for different times. So, while I have enumerated and explained what Dowd has made possible for us to know and then capitalize upon, my hope is that I have made the journey sufficiently overwhelming to deter those dulled by religion and yet accessible to the chosen people whom Yahowah is calling home. If you are Yisrael or Yahud, the intellect that stirred Dowd to be the most articulate man in human history has been passed on to you genetically such that you have the capacity to read and understand what I am sharing. This said, I ought not to have worried. You see, Chesed mercy is written DXH in Paleo Hebrew, telling us that there is a fence comprised of thorns outside of the doorway of God's home, keeping the unwanted out and the family safe. Here is yet another example of HaMashiach's brilliance. This statement can be read as an ode to Dowd's father or as an acclamation of his father's appreciation for his son's service. Yahowah, Yahowah, the proper pronunciation of the name of Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching, has prepared and established, kun, formed, fashioned, and supports, hyphal perfect, his throne, kais, who, his place of authority and seat of honor, in the spiritual realm of the heavens, ba hashemayim, with his sovereign realm, wamakot who, his authority, power, and influence, serving as a proverb, revealing what he and it is like by drawing pictures with words. Mashal, communicating by way of visual and verbal comparisons to reveal who has ultimate dominion, Kal perfect, in everything, Ba ha-kol, and everywhere. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 19. While it is true that Yahowah has established a seat of authority in the spiritual realm, since it is in his nature to share everything with us, Dowd will sit there. After all, the most vivid pictures of life in heaven and the kingdom of Dowd were painted by the author of the Mashal Proverbs. And, therefore, this could have been written with a lowercase his, thereby making it consistent with other prophecies which portray Yahowah eternally establishing Dowd's royal reign. Or, it could be a sign of mutual respect, demonstrating how Yahowah intends to raise his children within the spiritual realm. Painting pictures with words is something at which Dowd was particularly adept, as was his father. And often, it is the only way to convey what we cannot actually see from our current perspective. Heaven is a perfect example. Using terms common to our three-dimensional material existence, Yahowah's prophets have tried to describe its spectacular appearance. But frankly, it's well beyond our current comprehension, as far removed from what we can perceive as 3 dimensions are from 7. That being the case, Yahowah has shared something which can help us visualize the unseen. Aspects of the Garden of Eden were modeled after heaven. Consider what happened there, especially the interactions between Yahowah and Adam, and then expand the boundaries of that garden to the size of a universe, 93 billion light-years in diameter. This provides a glimpse of what we will experience camping out with Yahowah and other covenant members throughout time and space. We will still be guided by his words, even his Torah teachings, which will then be integrated within us. We will still observe the Shabat and attend the YYV1C6, celebrating both as they were intended. But we will no longer have to endure any form of religion or politics, lies or liars, abuse or abusers. Just as we are afforded the option of assigning heaven's throne and kingdom to Yahowah or Dowd, the Malakeh and Gibor in this next statement could represent heavenly implements or people. However, since Dowd would have had no influence over the spiritual realm at this time, it's far more likely that he was addressing the most courageous and capable of Yahowah's human witnesses, those reading and applying his Mizmor. His Malakeh messengers and witnesses, Malakeh, his envoys and representatives, ambassadors and functionaries, those dispatched and deputized to do his bidding, you should choose to convey your support for the benefit and blessings of Barak, of your own free will, extol the marvelous nature, while communicating the many positive things associated with Peel imperative second-person masculine plural, an expression of second-person volition, whereby the object is the beneficiary of the subject's choice to engage in a constructive verbal exchange over Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence. His Gibor most courageous and capable men, Gibor who, those who fight valiantly and prominently for him, his most impactful leaders and influential individuals, those with the ability, authority, and acuity, coach, those with the potential, resources, resolve, aptitude, strengths, determination, and empowerment, should act upon, Asa, should engage, go to work, and carry out, making known by performing as specified, expending the energy to bring about an effect, Kal participle, his word, Daber who, by actually listening, Lashama, by hearing, Kal infinitive, through the voice conveying the audible sound, Ba Kau, of his message, Daber who, his word, statement, account, and speech. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 20. Leading by example, Dowd was Yahowah's most accomplished Malakeh and acclaimed Gibor. Speaking to those who would follow in his footsteps, God's prolific messenger and courageous man encouraged us to devote our lives to conveying the benefits associated with being around Yahowah, extolling his virtues and while affirming our support. Those who have been blessed with the coach acuity and aptitude, the resources and resolve, engage on God's behalf after listening to the voice proclaiming his message. I've been doing this to the extent I'm capable, using the resources at my disposal and with Yahowah's support since Towrah in 2001. And while I was never alone, it has been a delight to experience the many ways Yahowah has found to contribute, such that we are effective and productive accomplishing his goals. The team of covenant family members he has conscripted to make this possible are as devoted as they are brilliant. But there is not one among them who would claim to be among Yahowah's Malakeh or Gibor. They are so few and far between. To fill out his quota of 3, Yahowah is recycling one for the 3rd time, Dowd, another, Elia, from 2,900 years ago, and the 3rd, Yada, from the ranks of the Gowan. Perhaps I'm a bit overdramatic, in that there will likely be many more, but one thing is certain, Yahowah's Malakeh messengers and witnesses and his Gibor courageous and capable men will always be blessed with the coach determination to prevail. Our strength, confidence, and fortitude to work with father and son comes from listening to their message above all else. It continues. As has been the case with Dowd's previous 2 statements, we can identify these tzaba with the heavenly host or conclude that Dowd is now addressing a broader spectrum of the covenant family, calling them to action. Since one would be out of Dowd's jurisdiction and of no value to those reading his song, I'm fairly certain that the Messiah is speaking to those serving in the best interests of Yahowah and his covenant family. I know many such people. They go by the names of Leah, Jackie, Dee, and Molly, David, Kirk, James, Mike, and Todd, Stephen, Joe, and Scott. Every one of his tzaba, supporters serving him, the willing conscripts who have been mustered and sent out to assist in the battle, Colt tzaba, all who desire to project his influence, protect his interests, who go forth to fight his foes, including all who act on his behalf by carrying out his instructions, you should choose to convey your support for the blessings and benefit of Barak, of your own free will, extol the marvelous nature, while communicating the positive things associated with Peel imperative second-person masculine plural, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence. Those rendering assistance and serving him, Shareth who, those performing a service and ministering in his interests, attending to what pertains to him, Peel participle, engage to accomplish, Asa, act to benefit from, laboring and performing based upon, Kal participle, his will, Ratzon who, his desire, his wishes, and what pleases him, with his approval and acceptance. Mizmor 103:21. All of his Maaseh workers accomplishing his goals, Kol Maaseh who, everyone who labors on his behalf, expending energy and resources to pursue his agenda, you should choose to convey your support for the benefit of, Barak, of your own free will, extol the marvelous nature, while communicating the blessings and benefits associated with, Peel imperative second person masculine plural, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah. Instructions regarding his Haya, existence, in all of the places, Ba Kol Makaum, in every home, dwelling place, site, and direction, his influence is felt and his Mashal word pictures are considered, Memshala who, he is prominent, understood, and distinguished, communicating by way of his visual and verbal comparisons to reveal he has ultimate dominion, from to ponder the implications of Mashal, proverbs, parables, similitudes, and metaphors conveying ethical wisdom. My soul, Nipesh Eni, my consciousness, the essential and living aspect of my persona which can be observant and responsive, and which conveys my personality, character, attributes, and experiences, commends and adores, Barak, you have chosen to appreciate and acclaim, to be thankful for the goodness of, seeking to enjoy and share the blessings and benefits, Peel imperative second person feminine singular, its association with, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate transliteration of the name of Eloah, God guided by his Torah, instructions regarding his Haya, existence and our Shalom, reconciliation. Mizmor/lyrics to be sung/Psalm 103:22. An accomplished speaker, such as Dowd, will tell their audience what they are going to tell them, they will tell them, and then they will summarize what they told them. Dowd introduced and concluded this psalm explaining the service his Nipesh would provide in conjunction with his father, Yahowah. And at the end of this Mizmor, he revealed how we can help him achieve his decision to serve his people and God in this way. No matter what Dowd has done, regardless of the merit of the sacrifice, irrespective of his bravery and compassion, if his fulfillments of Chag Matzah and Kippurim are not heralded, no one benefits. As powerful and capable as are our father and his son, they are still reliant upon capable witnesses and supportive co-workers to convey the message of the Berith and Mikra Y to Yisrael and Yehudim. One of Yah's most strident criticisms of mankind is that very few of us are aware of what he and his son have done on our behalf. The scope of their work is so seldom considered that if you were to ask random individuals to list their most important accomplishment, most would not recognize either name, and the few who might, would be clueless as to what Yahowah and Dowd have achieved, or why it is relevant to them. And that is ironic because those who seek to worship God and who claim to know him, haven't invested the time to listen to anything he has to say. By contrast, Dowd's words resonate throughout time because he came to know before he professed his admiration. He was right, true, and genuine, even appreciated, where the faithful are not. He did his part, and now, it is time for us to do ours. If the places were vast where Yahowah was clearly known and if his influence was felt by many, what a wonderful world it would be. It is, therefore, our mission to share the story of father and son with those interested in investing the time to read these books. This is a life well lived. That said, Dowd did not write, and we should not speak, to the world at large. There is no reason to strain our voices or dissipate our effect. We seek to convey his testimony to receptive ears and open minds. And so now may your soul be nourished by these words. This is for Dowd, to Dowd, concerning the beloved, and about approaching through Dowd, La Dowd. My soul, my consciousness, the essential aspect of my persona which can be observant and responsive, and which conveys my personality, character, attributes, and experiences, Nipesh Eni, you have chosen to appreciate and acclaim, sharing the benefits of, Barak, the association with, Yahowah, Yahowah, along with all that is within me, Wa Kol Karab Eni, through and accompanied by, his set apart, Kodesh who, name, Shem. Mizmor 103:1. My soul, Nipesh Eni, your desire is to commend and adore, being thankful for the benefit of sharing the blessings of, Barak, the association with, Yahowah, Yahowah. You will never overlook, ignore, or forget, Wa al-Shikach, any of his accomplishments and resulting benefits, Kol Gemulhu. Mizmor 103:2. Who, forgives, removing culpability from consideration, so as to pardon, Salak, all of your errant thinking, wrongdoing, erroneous statements, and distorted opinions, La Kol A1 Ada. And, Wa, who promotes restoration, Ha-Rapha, for everything which incapacitates and sickens you, all of your diseases and disabilities, La Kol Takalum Ada. Mizmor 103:3. Who, is the kinsman redeemer who delivers your life, the family member paying the price for you to live, Gal-Che Ada, from the dungeonous slime pit of corruption, Min Shakath. Who, envelopes and crowns you, Adar Adh, you, Ada, in loyal love, steadfast devotion, and unfailing kindness, Chesed, in addition to compassion and mercy, Warakamim. Mizmor 103:4. Who, abundantly satisfies, Saba, with that which is beneficial and good, highly desirable for you, beautifully adorning you, Ba Hataub Audi Adh. She, on her own initiative, restores and renews, Chadash, becoming similar to, Ka, the soaring eagle, Ha-Nesher, of your youth as children, Nayurim. Mizmor 103:5. Yahowah, Yahowah, does what is right, engaging honestly and fairly, Asat Tzedakah, showing good judgment in executing justice, Wa Mishpat, on behalf of, La, all who are unjustly exploited, defrauded, and deceived, Kol, Ashak. Mizmor 103:6. He made known, Yada, his ways, Derek who, to Mos, La Moshe, through his interactions, Alalahu, with the children of Yisrael, La Beni Yisrael. Mizmor 103:7. Yahowah, Yahowah, is compassionate, racham, and merciful, wachanon, long-suffering and loyal, slow to anger, erek af, and abounding in love, overwhelmingly kind, and steadfastly loyal, warab chisid. Mizmor 103:8. He will not continually quarrel with someone, subjecting his preeminence to unending arguments, lo, la netza ryb, nor will he eternally, wa la alam, serve as a frustrated caretaker, tending to those who displease him, maintaining the status quo as a disappointed and irritated observer, bearing resentment, nader. Mizmor 103:9. It's not according to, lo, ka, the ways we are misled and misleading, incurring guilt, chada, anaknu, that he acts and engages with us, asa la, anaknu, nor according to our errant thinking, erroneous statements, or invalid opinions, lo, ka, awan, anaknu, that he deals with us, gamal, al, anaknu. Mizmor 103:10. Indeed, for, ky, just as, ka, the heavens and spiritual realm are elevated in scale and dimensions beyond our comprehension, gaba shemaim, above and beyond the material realm, al-ha eretz, so too is his steadfast and enduring love, his unfailing generosity, and mercy, chisidhu, toward those who respect and revere him, al-yar-hu. Mizmor 103:11. As far as, ka rachak, the sunrise in the east where its increasing light is from, mizrak min, the setting sun in the west where darkness follows, myarab, so far removed from us, rachak min, anaknu, are our revolting and rebellious behaviors, eth pesha, anaknu. Mizmor 103:12. As a father, Ka'ab, shows tender affection and genuine love, Rakam, for children, Al-Banim, Yahowah, Yahowah, genuinely loves and overtly favors, Rakam, those who respect him, Al-Yar-hu. Mizmor 103:13. It is for certain, ky, he is cognizant of, yada, our inclinations and frame of reference, even the purpose for which we were created, yetzer, anaknu, remembering that we are indeed, zakar, quite literally comprised of naturally occurring earthen matter, afar. Mizmor 103:14. Mortal man's, in Aush, days, Yamim are like, Ka, an abode of dried grass, chaser. Like, Ka, the flowery nature of an engraved plaque on a shining memorial, tsyts, in the open and broad way, Hasada, it, therefore, reflects the light and the scene around it, Kenyatsits. Mizmor 103:15. Yet truthfully, when, ky, the spirit, Rowak, passes over it, Abar Bahu, then it is no more, Wa, Einhu, and its place, Wamakamhu, is no longer recognizable nor remembered, Lo, Nakerhu, out. Mizmor 103:16. But, Wa, the steadfast and enduring love, the unfailing generosity and mercy, Chisid, of Yahowah, Yahowah, is forever and ever, enduring eternally and without end, min alam ad alam, for those who respect and revere him, al-yar, who, with his vindication and righteousness, tzedakah, who, on behalf of his children's children, laben ben, Mizmor 103:17, for those who observe, la shamar, his covenant, berith who, and who remember, wa la zakar, to act upon and engage in, la, asahem, his directions and instructions, pikudim who. Mizmor 103:18. Yahowah, Yahowah, has prepared and established, Kun, his throne, Kais, who, in the spiritual realm of the heavens, Ba Hashemaim, with his sovereign realm, Wamakoth, who, serving as a proverb, revealing what he and it is like by drawing pictures with words, Mashal, in everything, Ba HaKol. Mizmor 103:19. His Malachi messengers and witnesses, Malachi, you should choose to convey your support for the benefit of, Barak, Yahowah, Yahowah. His Jibboer most courageous and capable men who fight valiantly and prominently for him, his most impactful leaders and influential individuals, Jibboer who, those with the ability, authority, and acuity, the aptitude, resources, and resolve, coach, should act upon and engage by carrying out, Asa, his word, Daberhu, by actually listening, Lashama, through the voice conveying the audible sound, Ba Kaul, of his message, Daberhu. Mizmor 103:20. Every one of his Tzaba, supporters serving him, the willing conscripts who have been mustered and sent out to assist in the battle, Kol Tzaba, who, you should choose to convey your support for the benefit of, Barak, Yahowah, Yahowah. Those rendering assistance and serving him, Sharith who, engaged to accomplish, Asa, his will, Ratzon who. Mizmor 103:21. All of his Maaseh workers accomplishing his goals, those pursuing his agenda, Kol Maaseh who, you should choose to convey your support for the benefit and blessings of, Barak, Yahowah, Yahowah, in all of the places, in every home, dwelling place, site, and direction, Ba Kol Makaum, his influence is felt and his Mashal word pictures are considered, Memshalahu. My soul, Nipesh Eni, commends and adores, having chosen to appreciate and acclaim, Barak, its association with, Eth, Yahowah, Yahowah. Mizmor/lyrics to sing/Psalm 103 verse 22. And he has done this brilliantly. Yod Hey Wah Hey.